All right, let's roll into it. So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to today's Q&A. Before we get into it, I want you to go ahead and comment down below because you will be automatically drawn into the Gadzhi giveaway. Apart from that, you can actually check the comments for today's winner. If I've forgotten to post it there, please just someone remind me in the comments and I will make sure to do so. But nonetheless, it will indeed be there. With the Gadzhi giveaway, as always, as long as you are subscribed, post notifications are turned on, I pick a winner who comments within the first 2 hours of the video going live. And with no further ado, let's get straight into it. Also, I've self-framed this. Pete isn't around, and my little small HD side monitor for this thing, well, I forgot to bring the charger. So with that being said, I've self-framed this, so I apologize if it's a little wonky or off, or I just don't get it at all. So let's get straight into it. Brian asks, as someone who loves fashion, do you think it's a waste of money to buy from large and very expensive clothing brands? Well, that totally depends. That's like asking, is it worth buying expensive watches, expensive cars, expensive, pretty much anything? Because like everything in life, there's a certain point where you pay for quality. And then there's also certain brands you're just paying for the name. So I'll just tell you guys my personal philosophy around this stuff. My personal style is most of it is affordable. It's relatively cheap. And then some particular stuff I will spend quite a lot of money on. So for example, what I'm wearing right now, this is a 25-pound Urban Outfitters shirt. When I'm not wearing my own Gadzhi t-shirts, you know, I like just these kind of loose, quite baggy tees. That's kind of how I like my t-shirts, is quite loose, airy, baggy. To give you some context as to what I am wearing shoe-wise, these are Lanvins. I always pronounce that wrong, but Lanvin. These are my favorite shoes ever. I have 4 pairs of these, and these are, you know, I'm gonna talk in dollars for you guys. These are around $400. Now, these trousers are Rag & Bone New York. They're around $250 and they're tailored. And as you can see, corduroys, they're quite worn in. When I get back to London, I'm probably gonna pick up another 2-3 pairs exactly like this. And obviously I'm just gonna give them these, and then they'll measure, they'll do the same tailoring and make them to spec again. So even with this outfit right here, you know, I'm totally fine wearing cheap stuff. One of my favorite brands, and if you wanna look fly as hell, definitely go to Uniqlo. A lot of the stuff, if you go to Uniqlo, is, first of all, it's incredibly high quality. I'm so surprised every time I go there. Second, if you get it tailored, and you can get stuff tailored for 15, 25, 30 pounds per item, sometimes even cheaper, sometimes more. It depends on where you're going. But let's just say $25. If you pick up something really nice from Uniqlo, let's just say a t-shirt, or even they've got these really nice, I've got a couple pairs of them, I wear them with suits. They've got these really nice turtlenecks, but they're not like cashmere or anything like that. They're, I don't know how to describe the material, but they're quite light. You can wear them with a suit and they look sick. Anyways, my point is, some brands that I love that are cheaper, Zara. Funnily enough, I get probably 80-90% of my trousers and my jeans from Zara. And for whatever reason, I never seem to need to tailor my Zara jeans or trousers. The only thing with Zara is whenever I find a pair that I like, I would literally just buy 4 more immediately, because the quality sometimes can be a little janky. Uniqlo is another one I love. I have a bunch of stuff from Uniqlo. And Uniqlo kind of fits my style, which is just, for the most part, solid colors, plain. I don't like brands. Sometimes, you know, I'll mix it up with like little graphic tees and stuff like that. But to answer your question, I think your style totally depends on what are you trying to accomplish? What is your personality like? And also, who are you trying to attract? For me, fashion is 50% what do I actually like the look of? 50% is what sort of person am I trying to attract? What am I trying to say about myself, etc., etc. Keep in mind, I've been wearing pretty much the same 5 t-shirts and 5 pairs of jeans for 4 months now, ever since I've been in Cape Town. Obviously, my full wardrobe is back in London. But to give you guys some context, you would never see me wearing anything Gucci. You would realistically pretty much never see me wearing anything with any sort of brand on it, unless it's Gadzhi, and Gadzhi isn't branded. Nowhere does it say the Gadzhi logo. So my favorite sort of brands are Uniqlo, Zara, Rag & Bone New York, Sandro, although it's tough to find stuff that fits me there. Kooples, the Kooples, like one of my favorite brands, hands down. Some selective stuff from Loro Piana. And what I'm trying to achieve with my fashion, I mean, I genuinely just think less is more when it comes to fashion. I hate brands, I hate labels. And I think that also comes from, I guess money-wise, just growing up quite quickly mentally. Keep in mind, I'm definitely still very new money in my mentality. I mean, you got kind of two sides of it. You got the real new money guys who drive their BMW i8s and have Gucci everything. And then you got your old money guys who drive their Porsche 911 or their Aston Martin DB11 and they wear Loro Piana. I'm somewhere kind of in the middle of that spectrum. But as more and more time progresses, I just think at a certain point you want to be low key. Like even with my finances and my life, I don't really shout about how much money I make. Like whereas before I would literally do this is how much I made to a T. I want everyone to know, except like just even little things like if you guys go look on my Instagram right now, you can see the agency highlight. And last year, like any client I was signing, whether it be a 10K a month client or a 3K a month client, or 15K a month client, like it would be on there and I'd be shouting about it. The past few clients, except for YouTube, where I've tried to make an effort on purpose to show you guys when I'm signing clients on YouTube, but most of the time I don't even catch me signing clients or me posting retainers that I'm getting or this or that. Like even last night I closed a $4,000, it wasn't even a retainer. To be honest, like I don't even need to do any work. It was just $4,000 to write 12 emails for one of our clients' funnel. And once again, I don't need to do that. I don't do the copywriting of my agency. Even things like that, last year I'd be shouting about it. So I've just found, while I'm still very new money, just every single year I mature. And I think the reason that I say this is because this is kind of where my style is now. I feel as though my style is really not very loud right now. I'd say the only thing that sometimes is loud when it comes to my style is my watches. I love rose gold. It has nothing to do with like, you know, bringing more attention or whatever, but I know a lot of people and a lot of my friends who are 10, 20 years older than me and in the hundreds of millions, they won't wear, you cannot make them wear a rose gold watch. They will only wear steel, even though they can literally afford any watch they could ever want, because they like to be a little bit more low key. Or they'll get into real FU money territory where they're wearing white gold or even platinum. So that's really the only thing where I'm kind of a little more loud is when it comes to my watches. I just genuinely like rose gold. So like my AP Royal Oak is in rose gold. I've got the 60th anniversary day date in rose gold, Aquanaut in rose gold, and a couple more pieces. I'm a fan of rose gold just in general. But yeah, long story short is you do not need to spend a lot of money in order to dress well. And it all comes down to personal preference. There's certain stuff, like I know most people will not buy $400 shoes and then buy 4 pairs of them in different shades of color, because I only really ever wear a white, gray, or black shoes. Like apart from that, I don't really have too many others. Or even if you look at my 10 things Iman Gadzhi can't live without video, between my 5 pairs of shoes, it's like $2,000, but none of them are loud. And if anyone saw them on the street, unless you know, you wouldn't really think that they're all like $500 pairs of shoes. Then there's other things I buy that once again, I understand people would think are ridiculous. Like I have a Tom Brown, oh yeah, that's another brand that I love, Tom Brown. But I have a Tom Brown pair of sunglasses and they're like $1,200. I get that most people would think that that is absurd. But for me, like sunglasses are a thing that I find it difficult to find a pair that I am in love with. So for me, I was like, all right, screw it, whatever. On the flip side though, I found more boutique sunglass place. I found this really dope Parisian one and they're like 200 a pop. And I have like 3-4 different pairs from them. And as I said, I buy stuff from Loro Piana, but then I also buy stuff from Uniqlo and Zara. You will never see me in a place like H&M or I don't know, like another one of these crappy places, but there's certain places, as I said, Uniqlo, Zara's quality it's manageable for jeans and trousers. I said, I just get multiple pairs. Anything waist up, I'm never wearing Zara or anything like that. So as I said, it just comes down to your personal style. It comes down to what are you trying to say? I have nothing wrong with people who are dripped out in Gucci if that's what you want to say about yourself. Or once again, it's also, I feel as though, who are you trying to attract? Like I feel as though this in LA is not cool. Like no one would like look at this in LA and be like, oh yeah, that guy's got really dope style. It's just like, okay, he dresses okay. You know, whereas in London and specifically where I live in Chelsea, it's like if you dress like the people in LA, people just think you're a bit of a prick. There are people who do dress like that, and I don't know, each to their own. But the way that I like to present myself, both in the way that I dress as well as kind of just in general, is a little bit of fuck you. I worked for this shit. And mainly, I want to be under the radar. That's kind of my philosophy with life. And not only that, the people that I'm sort of networking with, especially my confidants who are a lot older, if I hung out with them and I was dripped down Gucci, I think they'd be embarrassed to hang out with me, to be honest. So, you know, you really just have to be wise to the situation and this and that. Other thing I would say is, if you're at home, wear whatever the hell makes you happy. I guess it's just been a really long-winded way of saying, figure out what makes you happy. And then apart from that, I don't think, like, some people would just be like, just wear whatever makes you happy. For me, it's like, okay, that's 50% of it. The other 50% is what's in your budget. I'm kind of blessed now that, you know, kind of anything is in my budget. Once again, you would never see me spending $2,000 on some Gucci like hoodie or something like that. But you might see me spending $2,000 on a Loro Piana turtleneck. So, you know, it just totally depends. And then the other things are, what are you trying to say about yourself? And what are the sort of people that you're networking with? Like, to be honest, if I moved to LA, I don't know, probably I'd be more influenced by the culture and maybe my style would would change, and maybe like I would realize that, yo, maybe it's worth wearing a Balenciaga labeled hoodie because that just instantly gives you more clout. I don't know, it all depends. Next question is, if you're in e-commerce niche, should you charge for ad spend or ROAS? If so, how much? Should you charge for ad spend or ROAS? I don't totally understand this question. I'm assuming you mean, should you charge ad spend in your retainer? And the answer is 100% hands down no. And I've made a video about this, like, should you charge ad spend? You can just look up, should you charge ad spend Iman on YouTube, and it'll come up. But the reason you never want to charge ad spend in your retainer is because some months your ad spend may be lower, some months your ad spend are maybe higher, and you don't want to be holding that money. And if you've not spent the entirety of the ad spend, you would have to refund them. And if you spend too much, then you have to wait for that money to come in to then bill. So you don't want to get involved with that. Then your next question is, should you charge ROAS? And that's totally down to you. With, I'd say 70% of our clients, I was gonna say 50, but probably around 70% of our clients, we have some sort of percentage of ROAS deal included. I think, look, if you're at least breaking even on your retainer, that means however much, and I guess it's different if you're the one delivering the services yourself, but let's say you have a team member. If you're at least breaking even on the retainer, which means, like, let's say they're paying you $1,000 a month set fee, and your contractor is $1,000 a month. Or even better, like, let's say they're paying you $1,500 a month set fee and your contractor is $750 a month, you get to pocket the $750, and then you get the upside of however much in percentage of ROAS. We have clients that we work with on a percentage of ROAS as low as 10% and up to 30%. So to answer your question, I can't tell you how much percentage of ROAS you should charge. It's just with our clients, it's anywhere between 10 and 30%. So hopefully that gives you a bit more clarity. Next question is, first and foremost, do have a question. How do you find Kieran and how do you convince him to work for you, especially because he's much older than you and he had worked for a big agency back then? So how did you pitch him? I don't believe you would get some like him only if you give him a huge paycheck, because you could provide him with security at the beginning stage. He was like a startup. Huge PS, huge respect of how handling so much pressure at a young age. Sorry, it wasn't meant to be this long. All right, so that is a great question. Yes, it was literally true that he was the head of his last marketing agency. Yes, it's true that when he came to me, he literally instantly got a double pay. And at this point as well, Danny and Kieran both get a performance bonus as well. I tell you guys absolutely everything. The one thing that I will not disclose is how much, and I don't disclose this internally as well. Keep in mind, everyone in the company knows exactly how much money we're making, how much we're spending. I have an open book policy except for wages and salaries. The one thing that I will tell you is Danny and Kieran now at this point with the performance bonuses both make well over 6 figures a year. So Danny and Kieran get paid CEO money territory, honestly. And keep in mind that that is only going up and up as the company makes more profit. And then next year their performance bonuses double. So my point is, Danny and Kieran, they make very good money. Anyone new starting with me is gonna start at the bottom of the totem pole, which for me is $45,000 a year. That's our base salary that we offer. And after your first year, we add some sort of performance bonus on whatever your part of the puzzle is. Very quickly, you're gonna be making high 5 figures / 6 figures. I pay my team very generously, but I also expect a lot out of my team. But back to your question about how did I manage to hire him. First of all, I want you to look up on Google, Iman Gadzhi working for a 19-year-old evil genius. Kieran actually wrote a full Medium article about how we met, how I convinced him to work for the company, and what it's like working for me. Now, it's funny, I think he wrote that last April, and since then, a lot in the company has changed. I remember even in that, he was like, it's so weird that we literally I have one call with him a week, and he gives me so much leeway. Now we have a daily team call. In fact, I even have 2 team calls a day, one with GrowYourAgency and one specifically for IAG Media. But if you want to hire great people, if you want to hire world-class people, first of all, you have to pay them generously. But a little caveat with that is make them work for it. You know, since the time that Kieran and Danny both started, both of their incomes have gone up 200%, 300%, or even 400%. But you only get that once you work for it. The next thing is company culture. Like, we have such an incredible company culture, and we have a mission. And I mean, my mission's been here for 3-4 years, even before I even had any team members, which for the education company is to reform the education system. And we're gonna do that by building the best e-learning platform on earth, and having a full circle approach where we donate those proceeds to building schools in underdeveloped countries. And for the agency, Our mission and goal is very simple. It's just to bring the highest returns humanly possible, expect excellency out of ourselves, be very picky with the clients we work with, but continue to produce some of the craziest case studies in the industry in terms of what we're actually able to bring back for our clients in return. So number one, pay people incredible. Number two, company culture. And number three, and I'd say this is so important, is if you have someone in a role like that, and to be honest, I'd say everyone in my company, and between IAG Media and GrowYourAgency.com, we're very quickly getting to 10, which is quite a scary and daunting thought for me. Everyone in the team is treated like a business owner. And what I mean by that is everyone has the leeway to build a system, take the system we all immediately have, try and refine that system. Everyone in the team has a lot of leeway, and I don't micromanage people. And this is the most important thing. I listen to my team, and if we have conflicting viewpoints, we hash it out, and then I will take their opinion if they're genuinely right. If I have to go with my gut instinct, then I'll just go with my gut instinct. So as I said, the main three things: pay people incredibly well, but not initially when they start, make them work for it. Number two, have incredible company culture. And number three is have more of a hands-off approach and just trust your team. Because as I said, then they get the fulfillment of, damn, I'm actually building something myself. I'm not just slotting into a machine. Next question is, what purchase of $100 or less has most positively impacted your life in the last 6 months or in recent memory? I'd say for me, it always comes down to mainly health stuff and whatnot. I would say I love my sleep. I love my tea. So I would say T2 loose leaf tea and a glass teapot. So that way you can make your own loose leaf tea, chamomile tea prior to bed. So I'd say that on all that cost me $50 or whatever. Apart from that, I think this is $400 or whatever. But it can be any one you want. You can just get a standard black one. If you have a wallet, get a card holder. I don't know anyone who carries around cash these days. I don't see why you would need to. So if you go from a wallet to a card holder, I feel as though that would change a lot of lives. If you have an agency or you're a marketer, get this thing right here. It's a Blue Yeti. I think this thing is around $100, $120. I've tried out the Rode Podcaster before, which is I think $300 with the arm and the boom and all that. I've tried out basically every single mic that you could try. I'm a geek when it comes to just making sure I have the best work setup possible. And to be honest, I keep coming back to that thing because it's just, I feel as though the sound is the most full and it's just the easiest to carry around, and it's just a USB-C. Apart from that, I'm trying to think. I'd say maybe incense stick holder and just a stack of incense stick. Sleep-wise, try to get a white noise machine if you have trouble sleeping. And those are pretty much the main things that I can think of, to be honest. Yeah, I got nothing. That's it. Next question is, if you would have to start from scratch, no brand, and you just have 30 days to get 2 to 3 clients, $2,000 to $3,000 each, how would you do it? So for me, I'm just gonna say based off of e-commerce and info product clients, super easy. I'm gonna send 15 looms a day to e-commerce and info product business owners. That comes out to 450 looms in a month. And keep in mind, the main thing that I'm gonna do is make sure that I am reaching out. I've got this loom, but I'm reaching out on multiple different platforms. I'm reaching out on their Facebook, their LinkedIn, their Instagram. I'm gonna find the business owner's Instagram as well as email. And not only that, I'm gonna have multiple touch points. So I'm not just gonna send it out to 450 and just sit and hope that something comes back. I'm gonna follow the outline and agency incubator, which anyone in AI knows what I'm talking about, which is my personal outreach strategy and my personal follow-up to the initial outreach, which is 7 follow-up messages. And between 450 looms, and by the way, 15 looms a day is very, very manageable when all you're focused on is signing that client. When I'm doing that and I'm actually following up properly, because the money is in the follow-up, not after the call, but prior to the call. So I believe the money is in the follow-up, but not in following up after they say no. In my opinion, if they say no, within that next 30 days, they're not realistically gonna say yes. If you come back to them a year later, things might change, but the money is in the follow-up in order to set the meeting. Out of 450 looms, I am guaranteed to get at least 10 meetings. And out of 10 meetings, I'm gonna end up closing 2 to 3. So yeah, that's how I do it from scratch. And to give you a perfect example of how that works, Pete, who you guys know is my interim videographer. Initially, we were just working together for a month, ended up being 4 months because I've been out in Cape Town. But for the first month, P and I worked full time. But after that, he just works part-time. He spends 70% of his day, 80% of his day running his agency, and the last 20, 30% editing my videos and stuff like that. Pete sent, it'd be super interesting. Pete, maybe could you drop on the screen your stats? Just drop how many looms you actually sent. But Pete sent, and once again, I'll ask him if he's okay sharing this amount of looms. He got this amount of meetings and he signed 3 clients. And he signed all those 3 clients in the space of a week. It was Monday, Thursday, and Friday. So yeah, that is a perfect example right there where I don't think Pete sent up to 450 looms. So that's a perfect example where if you get that many touch points, inevitably you're gonna get a certain amount of meetings, and from that, inevitably you're gonna sign a certain amount of clients. So there is a perfect example right there, a real life example. Last question is, what strategy will you implement when real estate investing and why? Currently as it stands, this is something I'm still trying to figure out. Once again, I'm also talking to my confidants who are older than me, worth hundreds of millions. Don't have any Instagram, or have an Instagram with 700 followers, and they're private. The real big dog kind of money. So yeah, right now I'm actually talking with a bunch of them, and I'm just trying to figure out what the strategy is. Basically, next year I'm taking $1 million cash. So I'm taking $1 million, so I'll have $1 million in equity in my property portfolio, because I'm not a seasoned real estate investor. And I'll also be interested to see how much what sort of mortgages I'll be qualified to get. But nonetheless, I would still prefer at least for the first $1 million that I'm gonna invest, a slightly higher equity, lower leverage deal. So I wanna do like a 40% down on that first $1 million. So if I do 40% down on the first $1 million, that means that I have $2.5 million in equity. So my property portfolio will be worth 2.5 million. 1.5 million of that will be debt, and 1 million will be equity. And yeah, I'm just trying to look for houses that at that point should definitely be cash flowing, considering the amount of down payment I'm putting. I'm looking for houses that are going to cash flow considerably well. I'm looking for houses that are below market value. And once again, this is where I'm doing a lot of research, and I'm finding, how can I find these deals? And once I get back to London, I'm going to start having to build relationships and make sure that I'm top of mind for a lot of realtors out there, or even some wholesalers, so that way I get these deals. But yeah, that's kind of the plan. I'm going to be looking for houses valued anywhere between 250 and 750,000 pounds, potentially even less than that, maybe down to 150,000. Anything below that, and I would imagine that the quality of tenants you're going to get aren't going to be too great. I'm not going to be looking in London or central London, too much of a bubble. Just not a great place to make money, unless you're buying a house and just holding it for 40 years and you don't even look at it as an investment. You're just literally living there, and you close your eyes and one day, your house has gone up X amount in value. So I'm going to be looking on the outskirts of London. Maybe I'll be looking at Slough. I'm pretty sure there's a new railway system straight from Slough into central London that they're building. But this is the thing, you really need to know the market, and you need to know why property prices might go up, why you might be able to, on the property side itself, like you don't want to be looking at the house that looks like this, There's no room for you to add a bit of value to it, clean it up around the edges, and then be able to increase rents. So you want to be looking at houses that are a little bit distressed, you can have a bit of value add to, and you also want to be looking for motivated buyers. So I don't want to speak too granular on my strategy, because I don't really have a strategy, because as I said, I really like to speak on things that I know about and I'm sure about, and this is something that I'm still learning. But as always, I will relay everything I have learned to you guys next year. And this year, when it comes to the markets, I'm also investing £1 million cash in the markets this year, and then $1 million cash in the real estate market next year. So ladies and gentlemen, that wraps it up for today's Q&A. I hope you guys enjoyed. As always, make sure that you turn on your post notifications, because randomly in the week at any point I'm going to comment asking for questions, and as I said, anyone who comments in the first hour, I'll be picking some of your guys' questions to answer. Check the comments down below for the Gadzhi winner. If I forgot to post it, please just remind me. And yeah, guys, I'll see you in the next one.